The morning sunlight was soft, a pale gold filtering through the lace curtains, but Pratiksha's life was far from soft. It was a battleground she fought on every day with a smile. Standing before the mirror, she slid into her slim-fit jeans and buttoned her crisp green shirt, the fabric cool against her skin. As she dabbed moisturizer onto her face, a soft, familiar rustle of sheets from the bed made her lips curl into a genuine smile. Mommy, calm seep, path I seep, no go stool, came a drowsy, muffled voice from a tangle of blankets. Pratiksha chuckled, shaking her head. This sneaky little monkey, always playing the cute card to avoid the world. No can do, missy, she replied, turning toward the bed with her arms crossed and a mock-stern expression. Pakhi will wake up and go to her work, just like mommy is going to her work. She deliberately emphasized the name, Pakhi, a daily ritual, a desperate hope to make her little devil pronounce it correctly. But Pakhi, ever the tiny rebel, never gave in. Still half asleep, Pakhi mumbled a protest into her pillow. Pratiksha leaned closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. And what if Kathy tries to make Ryan her boyfriend while you're busy skipping school, huh? I'm sure Ryan won't like a girlfriend who doesn't attend school. The effect was instantaneous. Pakhi shot up like a rocket, her eyes wide, tiny feet scrambling as she tried to navigate her way down from the tall bed. Pratiksha smirked. She knew her daughter's Achilles heel. Ryan, the most beautiful boy in class, as Pakhi described him with toddler gravity. They shared lunch. He protected her from the scary, older kids, and apparently he had already promised to marry her when they grew up. The day Ryan had come over for a tea party with his mother, Pakhi had introduced the poor woman as her mother-in-law without blinking an eye. Children these days, they loved with a ferocity adults had long since forgotten. Pakhi hated the structure of school, but for Ryan, she would probably scale the London Eye. Especially with Kathy, the rival classmate who dared to like Ryan too, constantly in the wings. The two toddlers had recently had a full-blown playground spat over him. Pratiksha scooped up the warm, sleepy weight of her daughter and headed for the bathroom, the chaotic, beautiful rhythm of their morning hustle beginning. Later, after dropping Radhika at her school, Pratiksha bundled Pakhi and Ruhan into their preschool. All right, you two, no trouble today, okay? She said, kneeling to hand their colorful bags to the helper. She kissed each of their foreheads, a lingering touch of protection. Be good, I love you. As she waved them off, her phone vibrated in her pocket, a cold reminder of the grueling schedule awaiting her at the hospital. The hospital was buzzing with an electric, nervous energy today. Word had spread like wildfire. A new board member, a billionaire from India, was joining the ranks. The corridors echoed with hushed speculations and the clicking of heels on polished linoleum. Pratiksha slipped into her cabin, her chest tight. She barely had time to breathe after the morning briefing before Anna, her colleague and the only person who truly knew the cracks in her heart, barged in. Hey Pri, what's your schedule like today? Anna plopped into the guest chair, her eyes sparkling with mischief. And before you ditch me again, Dr. Aaron specifically told me to drag you to lunch. Girl, seriously, that man has a thing for you and you just keep playing dumb. Pratiksha groaned, burying her face in a stack of patient files. Dr. Anna, don't you have rounds? And about lunch? We'll see. For the last time, Aaron is just a nice guy. Not everything has to be a romance novel, Anna. Anna huffed dramatically. Whatever helps you sleep at night, Pri, but I'm telling you the man is smitten. Everyone here called her Pri. The full weight of Pratiksha was too much for their British tongues to carry. She had been here 9 months, and despite the exhaustion, the hospital was becoming a sanctuary. She needed this job, not just for the research, but for survival. Raising 2 children with Radhika on a single income was like trying to hold back the tide with a spoon. As Anna left, still muttering about Aaron's puppy eyes, Pratiksha's smile faded. Love, a single word that had once painted her world in vibrant hues, now reduced to a dull, throbbing smudge. She didn't believe in fairy tales. Fairy tales ended in cold hallways and thrown cash. Now, her world began and ended with Ruhan and Pakhi. But deep in the marrow of her bones, a gnawing fear remained. One day, the shadows of the past would find her, and when they did, she wasn't sure she had enough strength left to survive a second shattering. The day was draining, but the news that followed changed everything. A gentle knock came at her door. "Am I interrupting you, Miss Singh?" Dr. Smith's kind, weathered voice filled the room. Pratiksha stood immediately, a genuine warmth flooding her face. "Oh, Dr. Smith, please come in. You never have to ask. Sit, please." The elderly man, a legend in the field, sat down with a joyful crinkle in his eyes. "I came to share some good news. Rose, she talked to my wife yesterday." Pratiksha's heart leaped. "Sir, that's wonderful. Rose is such a fighter." "You are the reason, my child," Dr. Smith said, his voice thick with unbridled gratitude. "That's why, tomorrow, I am proposing your permanent position before the board. Also, we've decided to fund your research in full." Time stopped. Permanent, the security, the future. No more counting pennies for milk, no more fear of the lease ending. Tears brimmed in her eyes, hot and overwhelming. She stood and hugged the old man, her voice lost in the sob she refused to let out. There, my child. This is your hard work. Be ready tomorrow, all right? The new board member might want to meet you," he said with a wink before slipping out. Anna stormed in the second he left, her face etched with worry. "Why was Dr. Smith here? Pry, are you crying? What happened?" Pratiksha's lips quivered into a radiant, tearful smile. "Anna, I got the job, permanent. They're funding the research. Pakhi, Ruhan, Babhai, we're going to be okay." Anna squealed, nearly tackling her in a bear hug. "Oh my God, PRI, this is huge. We're celebrating tonight. I'm calling Aaron." Anna had seen the darkness. The nights Pratiksha went hungry so the kids could have fruit. The way she worked through a pregnancy that nearly broke her. The silent endurance of mockery and humiliation. Anna loathed the ghost of the man who had abandoned her, leaving a pregnant woman to face a ruthless world alone. She couldn't understand how any man could let someone like Pratiksha slip away. That evening, the house in London was a riot of joy. "Hey, where's everyone?" Anna's voice rang out as they entered. Radhika emerged from the kitchen, her face lighting up. "Anna, you're here." Suddenly, the kids exploded from the living room, tackling Anna with giggles and screams of amity. "Oh, my Batman and Elsa," Anna cooed, peppering them with kisses while Pratiksha and Radhika watched, their hearts full. Pakhi, ever the drama queen, wriggled out of the hug. "Anna, no tissy. Pathai, no tissy," she protested, pouting as she scrambled toward Radhika for protection. "Okay, guys, enough." Pratiksha clapped her hands, her eyes dancing. "I've ordered food tonight. No one is touching a stove." Radhika frowned, her maternal instincts kicking in. "Why? What's the occasion?" Pratiksha took a deep, shaky breath. "Babhai, Rue, I got the permanent position. The hospital is funding my research. We don't have to worry anymore. We're safe." The room erupted. Cheers, laughter, and the kind of tears that only come after a long storm. Radhika embraced her sister-in-law, a silent prayer on her lips that finally, the wind was at their backs. London, the other side. Vansh Ranawat sat in a luxurious five-star suite, the atmosphere thick with power and unspoken threats. Across from him, Mr. Ruth and his glamorous wife were trying to salvage their dignity. "Mr. Ranawat, 30% is reasonable, but 50%. That's outrageous," Mr. Ruth said, his voice trembling behind a mask of professionalism. Vansh leaned back, his eyes lazy, bored. He shifted his gaze to Mrs. Ruth, whose suggestive glances were a desperate attempt at leverage. She soon excused herself, disappearing into the restroom. Vansh waited a beat, then followed, his movements as fluid and lethal as a panther. Inside, Mrs. Ruth smirked at his reflection. "I thought you'd chase me," she purred, her fingers trailing over his chest, reaching for his belt. Vansh didn't hesitate. He pinned her against the cold marble wall, his hands exploring her curves with a practiced, detached ease. "What do you want?" he murmured, his voice a dangerous vibration. You, right here, right now, she gasped. But Vansh Ranawat never gave anything away for free. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a set of contract papers, slapping them onto the vanity counter. Sign, and you'll get your pleasure. Blinded by a toxic mix of lust and greed, she scribbled her signature. Moments later, Vansh's assistant, D.H. Ruv, stepped in, collected the papers, and vanished. Vansh's predatory smirk returned, cold and empty. Strip. She obeyed. He claimed her with a rough, clinical detachment. He never let her lips meet his. He never let her see his eyes. He drowned the ancient, gnawing ache in his chest in the raw physicality of the act, indifferent to her pleasure, a man trying to fill a void that had no bottom. Later, Vansh strolled out of the hotel, his smirk firmly in place. Another deal. Another rival crushed beneath his heel. Sitting in the back of his BMW, D.H. Ruv handed over the signed documents. Vansh's eyes gleamed with a cold, hollow satisfaction. To the world, he was the king, unstoppable, ruthless, calculated. But D.H. Ruv, who had seen the shadows in the man's eyes, wondered if Vansh Ranawat had ever truly felt a moment of peace. In his penthouse, a crystal glass of amber liquid in his hand, Vansh stood by the floor-to-ceiling window. The London skyline sprawled beneath him, a city of lights he intended to conquer. Life had always been a series of easy wins, royal blood, infinite money, power, women who fell at his feet. Until her. His mind flashed back to his final year at St. Xavier's, his playground. He was the leader of the royals, and the world was his toy box. He had just finished a casual fling with Sanya and was boasting to his friends when a soft, clear voice sliced through the air. "Excuse me." He had turned, expecting another fan, but there she stood, a green dress, eyes that held the entire sky, and a disarming, innocent smile. "Pratiksha, are you new here? I need to know where the canteen is," she asked, her voice steady, completely unaffected by the Vansh Ranawat aura that made other girls stutter. Vansh, for the first time in his life, was tongue-tied. She wasn't dazzled. She was just lost. He pointed arrogantly, trying to mask the strange, sudden flutter in his chest. When she smiled, thanked him, and walked away without a second glance, something inside Vansh snapped. His ego, usually bulletproof, felt a jagged crack. "Pratiksha," someone had called out, and she waved, disappearing into the crowd. That name, that smile, that voice. Years later, Vansh remembered every agonizing detail, not because she had charmed him, but because she had been the only person in the world who dared to ignore him. And for that, she had become his obsession, his most haunting nightmare. And now, he was in her city, breathing her air, completely unaware that the nightmare was about to become a reality.